Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you guys that are watching the videos. We've had a lot of really good feedback. People are enjoying the videos and are catching a lot of extra fish based on some of the tips that we're providing. So thanks very much for watching. If you've subscribed to the channel, thank you. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button. We got videos that come out all the time. If you subscribe, you get entered into drawings, monthly drawings for prizes. So there's really no reason not to hit that subscription button. Today I want to talk about a box that I carry with me everywhere I go. Regardless of whether I'm in Florida or fishing up north or somewhere in between, I've always got this box in the boat with me. And this box is labeled Smally Nuggets. What I mean by that is these are like micro baits, what I consider micro baits. And they're kind of a mainstay for me anywhere I go that's got smallmouth, but really all bass in general. What I've found over time is if I've got a really, really tough fishery, I can pull this box out and I've got the items in here that can help me catch fish regardless of where I'm at. They're not just smallmouth stuff. I made the box for smallmouth, but they catch largemouth and spotted bass everywhere I go. So the idea behind this started years and years ago. I was up in the Hayward, Wisconsin area on one of my favorite smallmouth lakes, and I was seeing large groups of fish. I mean, I'm talking 30, 40 smallmouth all in groups, most of them very, very large quality fish, 3 to 5 pound class fish, but I could not get them to bite. I mean, I was like following them down the shoreline as they just kind of were doing their thing, throwing different baits at them. And I could not get anything to work until I grabbed a tiny 1-inch tube, like a bluegill or crappie tube, and threw it in there. And immediately I had 3 fish come for it. Now I had thrown everything from like drop shots and tubes, swim baits, like just normal smallmouth baits, and I could get no reaction at all until I put that tiny bait on. And that day, I ended up catching like 15 or 20 fish on that tiny crappie tube. And what I've since found since then is like I can trigger lots of smallmouth to bite with really, really small baits. I kind of equate it to being like, if you've got a bowl of M&Ms in front of you, you might eat 1 or 2. You might not eat the whole bowl, but you'll eat 1 or 2. If you put this tiny bait in front of a smallmouth, it's kind of the same thing. It's like too hard for them to resist. So, I put this box together, and this has got a bunch of small baits that have always they just always work for me. And it's kind of that box that I use to save me through any sort of situation where I need to get bites. And fishing at the professional level, there have been lots of tournaments where, I'm struggling to catch a limit and pull this box out just to catch some fish to put in the boat. So, I'm not going to walk you through everything in here. I think the key to this video really is that you can't go too small. Micro baits have a definite place in your boat, because they catch fish, they catch numbers of fish, and there are times a lethargic fish will bite a microscopic bait. So as an example, just some of these baits that I want to show you that are really, really good for me. Like right off the bat, hair jigs. This looks like a bigger bait right now, but once you start, once it's in the water, you'll see that it'll really downsize. But then I've got some tiny little marabou jigs as well. I mean, these are probably an inch and a half long in total length. I've got a bunch of Helgermite style stuff. I mean, guys, like this, I mean, it might look look big, but compared to my hand, you can see it's probably an inch and a half-ish. This little guy, dude, I'll tell you, this little guy catches me a lot of fish, a lot of smallmouth. The hardest thing with this is casting it. You don't get a whole ton of distance, but you know, a little, like for smallmouth, any little black bait seems to work great, but these little hellgrammites are great. I've got some super tiny finesse jigs, like this little Kitech, tungsten Kitech. You know, I'll usually put a little trailer on it, like the little tiny, the Berkeley Trigger Craw. They make a tiny 3-inch one where I'll actually trim it down even more. But just little tiny jigs. Another one is like the tightrope jig. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's a great smallmouth bait. It just seems like just that small compact bait will trigger fish, and jigs are a great one. There's a lot of little craws that I like to use. This is, again, you know, I think it's a 2-inch craw. Dynamite bait. This is a dynamite bait on spotted bass and largemouth as well. Catch them all over the place on that. You know, like I was saying before, little tiny tubes. You know, these are just little inch and a half tubes. I've got a bunch of 2-inch tubes. Some of these are little leech modifications. I cut the package to fit in the box. You know, these are 3-inch, but I mean, they're just tiny profile in the water. Just lots and lots of little baits. I mean, I've got my pack of flatworms in here, because you gotta have flatworms anytime you go fishing for smallies. And you know, everyone talks about this as a drop shot bait. Put this on a little tungsten jig head. It's every bit as good. So I've got, you know, just all kinds of various things in here. This is another little tiny tube that I like. This is a 2.5-inch pad tube. I think it's Nori's makes it. I'm not even sure if they still make these, but these catch fish really well. So there's just all kinds of different stuff. And then in the box as well, I've got a bunch of just various different types of little jig heads. You know, these are all, like, this is 1/13 ounce. Just lots of different types of jig heads that I can mount with, or that I can use to put these baits on. Most of them are tungsten, I find, because when you're using such small baits, the tungsten just pairs better because it's such smaller size than the lead. But, you know, really, guys, I think most of you should have something like this in your box, or at least always bring some sort of micro bait with you to the lake. You know, just make a small box, or just always keep them in your tackle box, or a couple packs in the boat. Because when fishing's tough, it's the way to go. I mean, you know, you'll find that the biggest issue is casting distance with most of them. But if you're stealthy, you know, you can get in touch with a lot of fish that are, you know, not being spooked by your boat, and most of them will bite a small bait like this. So give it a try, guys. Build yourself a box. I call mine Smally Nuggets. You know, build yourself a box with a bunch of micro baits in it. And I'm telling you, there'll be a time and a place when you're really happy you have it, because it'll put a lot of fish in the boat for you. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy the video, comment. If you've got a micro bait that you love, throw it in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you got. You know, like the video, share it on your social media pages, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching.